Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm one of the instructors at RGU Sport. I'm going to show you some tips for squatting and lunging. We'll all be doing home workouts at the moment, and a lot of our exercises might include squats and lunges. So we need to make sure that we're doing these correctly. A great way to practice squats, if you're not really accustomed to doing them, is to grab a chair and just sit and stand. So you just sit down and stand up and squeeze your butt at the top. Sit down, stand up. So your feet, just turn this way a little bit, your feet are just slightly wider than your hips, and you just sit on the chair and stand up. Sit down, stand up and squeeze. That's going to help to get the pattern of a squat into your body. Now, when we squat, we can do a few different varieties of squat. We can be more like a parallel squat, we can go a little bit wider, and we can go very wide. So right now we're just going to concentrate on that parallel squat. My feet are grounded in the floor, and I need to keep my heels grounded. My toes are not straight ahead, they're just ever so slightly turned, very slightly. Depending on your mobility and how you move, you might need to move your feet a little bit more. When you squat, you want to get your outside of your knees to track towards the outside of your foot, so like towards the baby toe. So when I squat, I'm going to keep my hands up here. I'm going to brace my abs, so I'm drawing my abs in, and I'm going to sit down, and the knees are pushing out towards the outside of the baby toes, and then back up. I'll show you that from the side. I sit down and stand up. As I come up, I push through the heels, and I squeeze the glutes at the top. So I'm sitting into my heels, and I'm pushing up through the heels. If you have a tendency to lift the heels, the knees are pushing far too much forward. So maybe don't go so low, but try and keep the heels grounded. And then when you get that pattern into your body, then you can start to try and go a little deeper. We need to keep our abdominals contracted so that our abs are supporting our back. So that's heels and knees. Now we need to look at what the back is doing. It's quite common when we're squatting to form a bad habit of going down with the hips and then dropping the chest and ending up squatting halfway but then pushing the chest down to get that deeper feeling. That tends to then arch the back and put a lot of strain on the lower back. So I want you to think about your tailbone and drop it downwards. You see my pelvis moving? This is a neutral pelvis. We try to maintain neutral pelvis as we squat. So you can see I'm not moving so far forward, I'm just sitting down. So knees track to the outside of the baby toes, the butt drops towards the floor, and we try to lift our chest. Imagine if you had a t-shirt that had something written across the front, and you're looking in a mirror, and as you squat, you still want to be able to read what is written on your t-shirt. If you're squatting like this, you're not going to see what's written on that chest. Yeah? So try and keep the chest lifted and drop the hips. If you find that you're really tight in the Achilles, then possibly you need to stretch out the Achilles a little bit more into the calves, and also maybe just doing some mobility ankle work before you squat, so circling the ankles. Maybe you need a little bit of mobility through the hips before you start, so circling the hips, and maybe some leg swings. So that would be a great warm-up before you start your squat workout, is to start with ankles, move into hips, swing, and then do some small squats, maybe sitting to standing, and then progressing to adding your weight or no weight and trying to sit into your squats. If you find that the heels are just constantly lifting, you can grab, I've got two 𝑗 books here. So I'm going to put them on the floor like this. I'm going to place the heels on the books and then try and squat in that position. So maybe a book under the heels will help with your squatting technique until you manage to get the depth. So that's our squats. So now we look at lunges. When we lunge, we should think of going straight up and down, not forward and back. So here would be a bad lunge. So I would step back, not wide enough. So this is quite common. People set up a lunge, they set up too narrow this way, and the heel is down. So when they try to lunge, they do this. And they kind of roll around and they can't get the balance. And you see I'm moving forward and back. What I need to fix here, so that's where I was. That was a little bit natter. So I'm a bit wobbly because I'm not wide enough. My stable base is not wide enough. So I'm going to go a little bit wider. I'm going to lift my heel and I'm going to ease it back a little bit further. I'm really falling over there. I'm going to push this knee out slightly and I'm going to push this knee out slightly. I'm then going to drop my tailbone and lift my chest. Then I'm going to drop. Now that's far more effective, a lunge. So I'm going to show you that from this side. I go there, I make sure I'm wide enough, this way and that way so that I'm stable. I lift the heel, my hips, remember that neutral pelvis in squats? Tuck it down, so it's neutral, chest up, drop, lift, drop, lift. The emphasis should be on pushing through the front heel to drive you back up, not the toes. So if you're going into your toes, your knees are going to shoot forward, so you're going to lose a bit of balance as well. You're going to be very wobbly on that ball of the foot, whereas if your heel is grounded and you go down, the knee will stay almost in line with the ankle, and then you drive yourself back up from that heel. So have a look on the other side. So you might find one side is more wobbly than the other. So I'm going to do the other side. I've lifted my heel. My feet are wide enough, and they're wide enough this way. My hips, I'm tilting so that my abs are on and my tailbone is down. I pick up my chest. I focus on keeping the heel on the floor, and then I drop the knee, and then I push up. Woo! See, I'm wobbly on this side, very wobbly. So I'm going to drop and push up. Drop, push up. If your knees are rolling in, you need to try and push them out. Yeah? Lunges. If you've got any questions, I'm sure you can message RGU and they'll be happy to help you. Thank you.